Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another Mattel Jurassic World set to take a look at. This time we have another Epic Attack set, as this is actually the very last of these Epic Attack sets that are out currently that I had yet to get in my hands. There are a few coming out in the future. There was also supposed to be a Dimetrodon and an Velociraptor, but they kind of just disappeared off the face of the earth. No idea if they're still coming or not. But this time we have the Final Clash pack. And obviously what we are referring to would be the Final Clash of Jurassic Park, because we've got ourselves a T-Rex and a Velociraptor, which are both very much so colored like the Jurassic Park versions. And you can see again, the box art looks pretty nice overall. Pretty much your standard. Of course, has the Epic Attack logo here. We've got the Carnotaurus, which I absolutely love. And then again, some information there basically showing off how the injuries and stuff work, and the fact that we have noise as well. But then once we turn the box around and we take a look back here, you can see we've got a shot here of the Raptor, of the T-Rex, and then actually there is the Velociraptor and Dimetrodon I was just speaking of down there. So if you guys happen to have seen those anywhere, please let me know, because so far I have not heard of anyone finding those. But again, I'm very excited to pop this box open and check it out, so let's do that right now. So here is the Velociraptor that is included in this set, and then here is our Tyrannosaurus Rex that as well is of course included in this set. And now these are the very first time, actually let's go ahead and readjust this, get that a little bit more in line with the figures right there. But this is the very first time that we've actually had the T-Rex in the Epic Attack line, so that straight away is pretty exciting. The Velociraptor, however, is here for the second time. If you happen to have already acquired the Ford Explorer set, I think it was like the Crash and Attack set, maybe? I forget exactly what it was called, but if you grabbed that Ford Explorer set that already included a Raptor, this looks to be the same Raptor to me, but I will, of course, be able to tell fully once I bring the other Raptor in and kind of take a look at it with this one. But again, the set does look really cool, so let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look and check it out from there. So bringing the T-Rex up first, I'm honestly looking at this, and I'm pretty sure it is the Extreme Damage T-Rex just retooled into the Epic Attack version, because looking at the sculpt, the size is very clearly the same as the Extreme Damage version, but looking at the sculpt and everything as well, it definitely looks to me to be the same Rex that we had previously, just, you know, modified a little bit. So one thing that basically that means is we don't really need to go over the sculpt or fine detail. We basically just have to go over anything that's different with this one compared to the, you know, first Extreme Damage version. Now you can see color-wise, which would be the main difference, we have a very nice dark tone that starts in the eye socket area, and then kind of runs up here through the palate, but it disappears, but then we have this darker tone here on the tip of the snout as well, and then you have a nice variation of brown kind of running here, so you've got more of like a black here running up again on the snout and then from the eye, but then a nice brown for the primary body color. We've also got a nice light tone here for the lower jaw as well, which looks really good. Definitely, you know, a nice coloration to add that kind of plays off of the browns here of the face quite nicely. You can also see the eyes painted with a yellow, given a nice black pupil. Also sports a gloss coat to it. And then, of course, the T-Rex is going to roar as I open the mouth, but I did want to get in here, take a look at the tongue. The tongue looks great. You can see some really nice texturing to the tongue. Nice pinkish tone there for the inside of the mouth as well. I like that the tongue kind of sticks up as you open the mouth, and then you can see everything else inside the mouth looks pretty good, pretty standard for Mattel. Nice pinkish tone everywhere, nice gloss coat added to it as well. The teeth all look really good as well, nicely sculpted, and of course the paintwork is a nice kind of a light yellowish tone, more of like a light yellow, I would say. Not quite an off-white, definitely more of a light yellow. As we move back here, first of all, actually, as you run up to the top of the head, you can see we only have that brown up there, the primary body color. But as you move back here into the neck, you can see that we pick back up with that dark tone, and that pretty much overtakes the entire back of the T-Rex here. And then as you move down through the course of the neck, you can see how it kind of stripes down, moving along the course of the body here. As you lead all the way down here, you can still see it striping pretty nicely down into the side of the Rex. We also have this light tone running here from the lower jaw that follows down here along the underside of the T-Rex here, and it's a really smooth transition down to that, coloration down there. That color runs all the way out here, but then of course ends before we reach the tail. Pretty standard for Mattel. And the same thing happens up here with that dark tone. You can see that as well tapers off before we reach the tail, which is honestly a travesty, because looking at this, I feel like it's probably one of the best looking Jurassic World style or Jurassic Park style Tyrannosaurs to come from Mattel when it comes to especially the extreme damage sculpt. I really think they did a great job on the coloration of this one, but once it kind of leads out into the tail, it pretty much becomes naked, so it really did need that coloration leading the entire way out onto the tail to be a spectacular version of the T-Rex. As you lead here into the hands in typical Mattel fashion, you can see we don't have any paintwork for the nails of the fingers, but we do have paintwork for the nails of the feet, and you can see they're painted with a nice kind of, it almost looks like a dark brown actually, bordering on a dark gray, but almost kind of like a gray or a brown. But again, it does have a nice kind of a satin shine to it. The dew claws, of course, did not get painted, which you can see it hiding over there. We also have a little bit of that darker tone moving down the front of the thigh as well, that sort of tapers away before we reach the knee, or right as we reach the knee. But that really seems to be about it when it comes to the coloration of the Rex. I don't notice any differences or inconsistencies on this side compared to the initial side. And then, of course, the only other really big difference for this one would be the extreme damage feature, which you can see some injuries sculpted out here in those areas. But we're going to go ahead and, play around with those when we kind of dim the lights here in a moment, just to see them a little better. Then we've got the Velociraptor. Now, this one, I don't think we really need to go over, honestly, at all, because we have reviewed it already in the Ford Explorer set. So I don't feel like there is a need to revisit this one. What I am going to do is grab the original one that I had reviewed and bring that one in here. So here's the one from this set. Here's the one from the Ford Explorer set. Now, when you look at the two together, you can see they are absolutely the same figure. There doesn't seem to be any difference at all when it comes to the sculpt for sure, but the paint was the one thing that I was a little bit wondering about, basically, was whether the coloration was a little different. Honestly, it might be slightly different, actually. And it's ever so slightly, and it may not even be a real difference. It may just be because these are hand painted, but the dark brown on the back of this one looks a little bit darker than the one that we see here. The brown on this one actually has almost like a slight reddish brown tint to it, whereas the brown on the back of this one has more of a darker brown to it. And that may just be the way that it was painted, so it kind of looks like it has a little bit of difference, because outside of that, I really don't notice anything that's obvious color-wise that would differentiate the two. But the black moving along the back definitely looks maybe to be slightly different. So it may be a little bit of a different figure. I'm not entirely sure. Before we go any further, though, there is the Facts app, at least for the Raptor here, so you can add that one to your collection. Again, it may be the same one we had previously. And then we've also got the Facts app for the Tyrannosaurus Rex as well. So even if it is the same Raptor, and even if this is just a retooled version of the extreme damage T-Rex, I'm actually really quite psyched to finally have this one in my hands. Now, as far as the articulation for the figures go, the articulation for the Raptor is absolutely the same as the previous one. Even if the paint may be slightly different, the articulation is the same. We have the articulated jaw. We also have the articulation in the arms, only forward and back. Articulation in the legs, only forward and back. That's really all you have going on for it. And then a little area out here where you can swivel the tail. For the T-Rex, however, I did notice a little bit of difference to it. For the most part, it's the same. We did see already that the jaw articulates. It's both the upper and lower jaw to give you a nice wide open mouth. I don't know if I want to do it quite yet because I think it might make a noise again. You've also got a spot of articulation here in the neck. This is the standard area of articulation pretty much for an extreme damage style Tyrannosaurus, is this area in the neck. But the one area that is a little bit different for sure is the arm, because on top of going forward and back, we actually have the ability to make the arm go out, and that's not something you usually have on these style Tyrannosaurs, so that is pretty neat to see. A nice little welcome addition as far as that goes. Then of course you have the leg articulation forward and back, also out away from the body a little bit, not a whole lot of wiggle room there, and then the articulation in the tail. I'm a little sad to see that the Rex isn't an entirely brand new sculpt like they've done with most of these extreme damage figures. Like every single one, like the Raptor, you can very clearly see is a sculpt that's exclusive to this Epic Attack line, whereas the T-Rex is basically a reused sculpt, just modified a little bit. So let's go ahead, dim these lights. That will help to give us a little bit of a better look here at the actual action features. First of all, we didn't need to dim the lights for this, but you have the button on the back of the neck here that's going to open the mouth and basically give you that extreme chomping action feature. Pretty common Mattel roars and stuff. Then you've got a button here. As you can see, you've got a few different roars, and I like that they've kind of made those roars almost sound like it is the dinosaur getting hurt, because it sounds like it's just like, ow, basically saying as you press it. And obviously you can see how the lights work. They continue to light up for a little bit. Like I said in previous reviews, I definitely would have liked to have seen the action feature where you press the button and the lights come on and then they don't come off again until you press the button again. It would probably kill the batteries pretty quick, but I think it would be a fun playability aspect to the dinosaurs. But then you've also got this area. Again, they're glowing. It looks really cool. So, you know, that's basically like the standard action feature when it comes to the extreme damage figures. That's just the usual thing you have going on. Also, I do want to say we do have swivel ankles, which I actually didn't mention before when discussing the articulation. And then we've done the Raptor before, but we'll do it again. So definitely some really fun sounds, really fun articulation and action features overall for both of these figures. I really don't think we need to do sizes or comparisons or anything like that because they are absolutely the same size. First of all, the Raptor is the same size as the previously released version. It's also the same size as the current Jurassic Park 3 Epic Attack Raptor that is at like every Walmart everywhere, just warming shelves or peg warmers, or however you want to say that. And also the T-Rex, again, is the same as the extreme damage as far as the size goes. So if you happen to have any of the previous extreme damage Tyrannosaurs, you're definitely already going to know what the size is of this one. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Epic Attack Final Clash Pack, the Tyrannosaurus Rex versus the Velociraptor, is definitely a really fun set, but it's not one that is, you know, amazing. It's not that type of set where you really need to search it out. It is still a pretty fun version of a Mattel T-Rex. It has a really nice sculpt, as they always do, really nice fine detail. Of course, it is, again, the same sculpt as the extreme damage, so we've seen the sculpt many times before. This one, of course, just has some modifications to give it the Epic Attack action features and stuff. And, of course, a little extra articulation in the arms. But the thing that sells this one mostly for me outside of the Epic Attack action features is the paint apps. Again, I really do quite like the paint, even if I wish they had included more running out onto the tail just to really polish this one off. It is still a pretty nice looking paint job overall. Just looks a little naked from the hip region back to the tail there. But the Epic Attack action feature is pretty fun as well, and I now have, up until this point, as far as Epic Attack figures that have been released, the complete lineup of them in my collection. But we also have a really cool Velociraptor, which I am actually a pretty big fan of that Raptor, even if the Epic Attack, you know, Raptors and stuff have the kind of short, stubby tail and sort of awkward-looking, chunky body. I still like those figures, and it also has a lot less articulation than you usually find in a Mattel release, but There's just something about those that I really quite like, so pretty happy to have a second of this Raptor. Again, it's a pretty fun set, but it's definitely not a massive recommendation from me because of how hard they are to find. My best guess would be, search around on eBay and hopefully the prices aren't too much, even though I really couldn't find one for a decent price on there. One way or another, it's a pretty fun set, but not anything absolutely amazing. But let me know in the comments section what you guys think about it, and also like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.